Hi friends, I'm back with a new layout today and I'm super excited to be taking part in a fun YouTube hop called Pinkfresh Fridays. So there's a few of us joining in and basically we're just mostly using Pinkfresh Studio products. Pinkfresh Studio also have a monthly challenge for the month of May and their colour palette for this month is rainbow, my favourite. So it was the perfect opportunity to pick out all the rainbow colours from the Pinkfresh products that I've got. So I started off with a piece of pretty pattern paper that has lots of lovely sentiments on it, and I picked a few that were suitable for these photos and kind of matched the moment, and I cut out a variety of different colours all in the rainbow spectrum, and I'm just going to be placing them going down the right hand side of my page beside my photos. I'm really just doing this so I can get an idea of placement. I'm going to be doing some stenciling in the background, so I just want to see where I'm going to need to do that. I'm just making a few marks where the photos are and the top and the bottom sentiment pieces, and I'm going to be working around those so that my stenciling is sure to peek out around those things. Now I've moved those word pieces to the right of my page, still in rainbow order, so that when I do my stenciling I can make sure that the colours I'm using line up with the colours from those text pieces. Now I've got a big selection of Distress ink minis, so I've pulled some out and matched the colours as best I can, and I'm just using my ink dabber just to blend the colours together, starting with the lightest pink and then working my way through the rainbow spectrum. Now when I want the colours to blend together, I make sure I do a little bit extra of the colour above, and then I work the next colour over it slightly to kind of get a combination of the two colours, and this is what really helps show that rainbow gradient and the colours fading into each other. Now, if you've not joined in with the Pinkfresh Friday YouTube hop before, this is my first time as well, please do take a peek in the description box for all the other YouTube channels that are joining in. There's a few of us this week, and you can hop along through each channel and just see what everyone's been up to. And if you like what you see, it would be wonderful if you subscribe to a new channel if it's new to you. We would be so grateful for your support. Now I am going to be stenciling for a little while. I've chosen to leave it in for you to watch so that you can see the process if it's something that you'd like to see. So I'm going to leave you with a little bit of music and I'll be back chatting a bit more in a short while.
I wanted to escape for a while. Thought that a couple of drinks could ease my mind. I've been thinking of you for 2 weeks straight. I know that I need to get myself back in the game. Someone said your name had a turn around. Suddenly you're there standing in the crowd. Everything comes back in the blink of an eye. It's like you're mine, you're still mine. They skip the small talk, cause you know me better than I know myself. Oh, mine's been a while now since I saw you, but it feels like yesterday somehow. Time has stopped, nothing's changed, we're the same. And we skip the small talk, cause you know me, yeah, you know me like nobody else.
Now that's my stenciling mostly done, so now it's time to kind of lay these pieces back on top and just to check that I've got the effect that I wanted. Now that lovely foliage stencil is from Bramble Fox, and it's really so versatile. I'm coming in again just now, just adding in a couple more pieces. I feel like there's just a few gaps, so I'm just going to be adding, I think this is the last bit I'm adding in, just to kind of finish it off. Now I'm happy with how that looks, but I feel like I want to add in some florals. I've got this lovely stamp. It's by Pinkfresh and Altenew, and I've never used it before, but I have had it at the back of my mind. It's such a beautiful floral, and I always thought, oh, this is going to be amazing to do mixed media on, or just to have it stamped in black and white. And I finally pulled it out today, and I'm fussy cutting it, and I'm not adding mixed media to this. I'm going to be using it as a little bit of a contrast against all those bright colors. And I've stamped the stamp 3 times. I've done 3 impressions, and I've kind of, instead of keeping it as a whole cluster, I've kind of cut it into smaller sections, so it almost looks like a few different stamps. And I've opted to just do 3 little clusters, kind of doing a triangle around my photos. I've got a sheet of vellum here. I just want to back my photos. I want a really subtle matte for those photos, just something really gentle around the edges. So I'm going to be doing this around all 3 photos. And now I'm just tearing a strip off to do an extra little layer at the bottom of each photo, just for a little bit of extra interest and texture. Very subtle interest and texture, because it's not something that jumps off the page, but when you look at it closely, you can see those extra details. This page is going to be relatively flat. I'm sticking my photos directly onto the background, which is a little bit unusual for me because usually I always have at least one of the photos raised up. However, once I've stuck down all those sentiment pieces, I am going to be stitching, kind of underlining the text with some machine stitching, and it will be much easier to do if everything is flat on my page. Now I'm starting to stick the sentiment pieces down, and I'm going to go ahead and just stick that floral under the You Are My Sunshine piece. I've got an extra rose floral. It's kind of like a head-on open bloom, and I'm going to just layer that on top of the stamped image at the back, just so that it's a slightly different floral to the one that I'm going to be using at the bottom, just to add a little bit of variation rather than having the top and the bottom floral being exactly the same. So I'm just moving that down a little bit to get it just above my photos before sticking the rest down. I use my tape runner to stick all the sentiment pieces down flat, and you might have noticed with the stamped floral at the top, the bit that I added on above, I use some clear silicone glue, and that is just to help kind of tilt that flower forward a little bit. That is one of my only kind of raised 3-dimensional aspects of this page, and it just gives a little bit of extra dimension to the page. Now that all those word bits are stuck down, I'm going to make sure I've got all my florals in place. So I'm just cutting off a little floral piece from this one just to make it fit properly, and I'm going to tuck it behind those colourful strips so that it's just peeking out. I really love adding black and white florals to a relatively colourful page. I just feel it just adds a lovely contrast to all the different colours. Now I want to make sure some of those florals peek out over the word strips. It just, I think, looks like the flowers are kind of flowing out from behind, and I love that natural feel. So here is a closer peek at my stitching that I've done off camera, and now I'm going to add in that final floral piece. The final word strip, which I'm going to stick at the bottom, that says Love This Day, I've done some extra stitching to underline the text, and I'm going to be raising that piece up using a strip of craft foam. So I did stitch that one sentiment piece that was already cut out on its own, whereas all the other pieces I stitched onto the page. Now I've just added the date there, and I'm going to stick that on. I'm using a combination of my tape runner and my wet glue. I find sometimes the tape runner, as much as it's quite sticky adhesive, over time the pieces start to fall off, whereas the wet glue really holds everything in place. I'm just adding a doodled black pen border around the edge. This is real time. My videos are usually always sped up 2 to 4 times the speed, depending on what I'm doing. But for this bit where I'm drawing the border, I've left it real time just to show you how slowly it actually goes. So I managed to squeeze in the layout process video in about 15 minutes usually, but it takes me so much longer than that. I'm sure many of you can relate, but it's all part of the creative fun, isn't it? Now I want to add some extra rainbow embellishments. So I've got a scrap piece of mixed media cardstock, and I'm just swiping down my ink cubes. I was sure to do my yellow first so that that extra light ink pad doesn't get the other colors on it. although you'll see in a moment I do manage to get the lilac on my pink one, so I'm just kind of brushing it off. So what is lovely about using mixed media cardstock is it doesn't straight away absorb the ink, and it allows me to add water and to mix and blend the colors, which is what I'm doing here. So I sprayed a little bit of water on, and now I'm just taking my brush and I'm blending those colors together to make this beautiful fading rainbow. I usually create with really bold, vibrant rainbows. However, this page is more pastel shades, but they're still quite bright. I suppose more like a spring rainbow, and I still love these colors, and they work so nicely with the pattern paper that I've used from Pinkfresh Studio. And you saw there I just used some toilet roll paper just to kind of roll over, just to pick up the excess water, and now I'm just going over with a little bit more ink. So I've stamped the ink pad onto my mat and added some water and just kind of using it as a watercolor paint. When I rolled the paper towel over, I kind of picked up all the texture from the paintbrush, so all the markings, the watercolor markings. So I'm kind of adding a bit more depth to the color, and again adding in some of the paintbrush marks back to the page, but kind of muting the colors a little bit. Now I've got this gorgeous butterfly metal die from Pinkfresh Studio, and I'm going to cut out all these beautiful butterflies, just deciding which way I want that rainbow to go, and I'm popping it through my Sizzix Big Shot. Now with mixed media cardstock, it is extra thick, so take it through a few times. I only took it through twice, and some of my pieces didn't come out quite as easily as I'd like, so I could have done it, I think, another 2 times or so to do a nice clean cut. So I did have to pop in with my scissors just to kind of cut through it properly, because the mixed media cardstock is super thick. Now I am just kind of fiddling around, kind of trialing out the different butterflies to see which ones work best. And again, I'm lining up the colors with the stenciling in the background and those word strips, just so that I've got that rainbow consistent through the page. I love a tone on tone rainbow, so if the background's rainbow bright colors, then the things layered on top are kind of matching the background. Now I've got my Nouveau Glimmer Paste in Moonstone, one of my favorites, and I've just stuck my finger in and I'm dabbing it onto the butterflies. I do this on all the butterflies just to add a little bit of shimmer and sparkle to the edges of those wings. Now each butterfly is going to be stuck on using my silicone glue, and that just helps keep the wings up so that they look like they're flying. Just remember that it takes a wee while to dry, so don't go squishing your page for a few hours. Now my page wouldn't be finished without a few splatters. I just feel like it needs a little extra something, so I'm again bringing those ink colors in, stamping them onto my mat and adding a bit of water, and then picking up the color with my brush and doing some splatters. Again, I'm just going with the rainbow tones and kind of matching tone on tone. And last but not least, I'm just adding some little iridescent gems to the page, just as a finishing touch to add a little bit of extra sparkle. I love these gems. They're really subtle in the background, but just add a little bit of shimmer and shine. I've decided to place my gems working on that vertical that I've created with all the different embellishments. So I've got the kind of vertical rainbow going on with the butterflies and the text pieces, and I've just kind of fitted those gems in those different clusters. So wherever there's a butterfly, there are a few gems kind of clustered in that vicinity. And that is my layout complete. Thank you so much for stopping by. I really do appreciate it, and I really hope that you've seen something new or something that you would like to try when you get creative next. Please do pop along to the other channels that are joining in the hop today, and if you've liked what you've seen, I'd be so grateful if you could give me a thumbs up. I would love to hear from you in the comments section, and if you don't already subscribe to my channel, I would be so grateful if you chose to subscribe. You can also find me over on Instagram at Handmade Happy by Monique. As always, I've listed all the products I've used in the description box. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!
Skip the small talk, 'cause you know me better than I know myself. Oh, mine's been a while now since I saw you, but it feels like yesterday somehow. Time has stopped.